My name is Nate Ober, and you are watching Channel 23 Gothic News, World News Tonight. Tonight in the news, 71% of young Americans don't qualify for military because they're fat and unhealthy. According to a recent report by the Heritage Foundation, nearly 3/4 of young Americans are ineligible to serve in the military. Factors affecting eligibility include health problems, criminal records, or poor education, and the lack of potential enlistments may hinder any plans in beefing up Americans' armed forces. Studying Pentagon data, Americans who are ages 17 to 24 who do not qualify for the military pose an alarming threat to national security and risk derailing President Mr. Cool's plan to strengthen a depleted military. President Cool Guy recently revealed his $700 billion defense budget that aims to vastly expand and strengthen the military by adding 25,900 troops through October 2019 and another 56,600 by 2023. The Pentagon estimates that 24 million of the 34 million Americans between 17 and 24 years old, or 71%, cannot serve in any branch of the armed forces, the issue affecting the greatest number of potential recruits, nearly half of all eligible individuals, is health-related. The health of young Americans is getting worse, and it's not just obesity, though that's the biggest burden, but also growing asthma, joint problems, stuff like that, retired Army Lieutenant General Tom Sporer, co-author of the Heritage paper, told the Washington Free Beacon on Wednesday. You don't have to be on this lean, mean fighting machine to enlist in the military. They'll take people who are pudgy, but if you're obese or severely overweight, there's just not enough time in the basic training process to get them where they need to be. And there's also a risk that they'll injure themselves once you get them running and put all the equipment on them. Across the 4 branches of the military, the Army has the hardest time finding suitable recruits. Just 23% of young Americans are qualified to enlist. Of those who have the desire to enlist, 47% of males and 59% of females fail physical fitness tests during basic training. The military depends on a constant flow of volunteers every year to meet its requirements. And as the number of eligible Americans declines, it will be increasingly difficult to meet the needs, the report stated. This is not a distant problem to address decades from now. The U.S. military is already having a hard time attracting enough qualified volunteers. While some have suggested lowering the standards to join the military, Sporer expressed that more lenient requirements would result in less capable, less lethal military. Every one of these standards has come into place over time for a reason, he said. It's the quality of the soldier that's going to carry the day. If we don't have a good product, then no matter how good a jet fighter or tank or rifle we buy that person, if the quality of the soldier, the Marine, or the airman is not there, we're not going to succeed. Wow. So 71% of young Americans don't qualify for military because they're fat and unhealthy. But next up, billionaires made so much money last year they could end extreme poverty 7 times over. The global economy created a number of billionaires last year, exacerbating inequality amid a weakening of workers' rights and a corporate push to maximize shareholder returns. charity organization Oxfam International said in a new report. The world now has 2,043 billionaires, after a new one emerged every 2 days in the past year. The non-profit organization said in a report published Monday, the group of mostly men saw its wealth surge by $762 billion, which is enough money to end extreme poverty 7 times over, said Oxfam. According to separate data compiled by Bloomberg, the top 500 billionaires' net worth grew 24% to $5.38 trillion in 2017. While the world's richest person, Amazon.com Incorporated's Jeff Bezos, saw a gain of $33.7 billion. The billionaire boom is not a sign of a thriving economy, but a symptom of a failing economic system, said Winnie Byanyama, executive director of Oxfam International. The people who make our clothes, assemble our phones, and grow our food are being exploited. Oxfam published the report as global leaders, chief executives, and bankers arrive in Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Forum's annual meeting, noting that many of the world's elite say they're concerned about how income equality. The charity said most governments are shamefully failing to improve the matter. Oxfam called the governments to limit shareholder and executive returns while ensuring workers receive a living wage. It also recommended eliminating gender pay gap and raising taxes on the wealthy, among other suggestions. People are ready for change, Byanyama said. They want a limit on the power and the wealth which sits in the hands of so few. Well, what do you think about that? Next story. Hundreds gather at church for blessing ceremony featuring AR-15s. Hundreds of crown-wearing worshippers clutching AR-15 rifles drank holy wine and exchanged or renewed wedding vows in a committed ceremony at a Pennsylvania church on Wednesday, prompting a nearby school to cancel classes. With state police and a smattering of protesters standing outside the church, brides clad in white and grooms in dark suits brought dozens of unloaded AR-15s into World Peace and Unification Sanctuary for a religious event that doubled as an advertisement for the Second Amendment. World Peace and Unification Sanctuary in Newfoundland believes the AR-15 symbolizes the rod of iron in the biblical book of Revelation. The Reverend Sean Moon, who leads the church, prayed for a kingdom of peace, police and peace militia, where the citizens, through the right given to them by Almighty God to keep and bear arms, will be able to protect one another and protect human flourishing. Moon is the son of the late Reverend Sun Myung Moon, a self-proclaimed Messiah who founded the Unification Church, which critics regard as a cult. The younger Moon's congregation is a breakaway faction of the Unification Church, which had distanced itself from Wednesday's event. An attendant checked each weapon at the door to make sure it was unloaded and secured with a zip tie, and the elaborate commitment ceremony went off without a hitch. That's about enough of that. Well, do you want to hear more? It's scaring people in our community, one protester told a church member. Are you aware of that? The ceremony prompted Wallenpaupack Area School District to move students at an elementary school down the street to other campuses. Lisa DeCina from Scranton protested outside the church with a sign that called the group an armed religious cult. She said she owns a gun, but I don't need a freaking assault weapon to defend myself. The only thing they're good for is killing, period. Well, what's a gun good for, I wonder? That's all that weapon is good for, mass killing. And you want to bless it? Shame on you. Oh, I'm so sick of this crap. So sick of it. Well, in the world news today, what's up next? No thanks. It's now time to sound the alarm bells on an economic prospects for the millennial generation in the Western world, but more importantly in the United Kingdom. This generation of citizens aged 18 to 36 is the first modern developed economies on course to have lower standard of living than their parents. Housing affordability and a decaying job environment are the most pressing issues affecting millennials. The future is bleak for this avocado and toast generation. As Western world economies have likely plateaued regarding economic growth, surging debt and rising government bond yields are producing an environment that could lead to more hardships for this lost generation. Sucks to be them. Landlords in the United Kingdom have taken full advantage of broke millennials by offering adult arrangements for a roof over their heads. Yes, you heard this correctly. Millennials are trading sex for a place to sleep. Unearthed in a new documentary by the British Broadcasting Corporation, which provides a chilling insight into just how bad the millennial generation has it. I'm sorry, that sucks. BBC reporter Ellie Flynn went undercover to expose the scale of the rent for sex issue in the United Kingdom, in which landlords on Craigslist are advertising free accommodation in exchange for sexual acts. Ellie portrayed herself as a broke 24-year-old nursing student with very little alternatives. She confronted one man in a Newcastle cafe who defended his actions and told cameras, "I'm not doing anything wrong, it's not about sex, it's about companionship." BBC Three's Ellie Undercover, Rent for Sex, also met up with a landlord who had built a log cabin in his garden where tenants could sleep if they agreed to have sex in return for a physical arrangement once a week, the Daily Mail reported. The man offers to show Ellie around, saying, "That's where you sleep, it's a log cabin all right," the Daily Mail reported. He later denied knowing the practice of asking for sex in exchange for housing is a serious offense in the UK, saying, "I don't know, I truthfully can't answer that." One landlord put Ellie in touch with a former tenant who told of how he tried touching her while she was staying rent-free with him, said the Daily Mail. "I would just feel almost paralyzed every time he tried to touch me, but he didn't force himself on me," said the unnamed woman. The woman added, "The idea of consent gets mashed up because the woman thinks this is the exchange I have to give this man in order for me to have a roof over my head." In fact, the number of listings on Craigslist and social media websites offering rent for sex is exploding. Latest figures from the housing charity shelter are absolutely mind-numbing. More than 250,000 women over the last 5 years have been asked for adult arrangements in exchange for housing. UK millennials lacking a living wage, therefore, this generation sees nothing wrong in offering their bodies to landlords for a roof over their heads. Apparently, the smartest generation to ever step foot on the planet is the first generation since the 50s to fail to do better than their parents. The home ownership of UK millennials is so low that these levels have not been seen since World War I. According to the Office for National Statistics, millennials have largely been priced out of the real estate market as prices soar above 2008 levels. Over the same period of rising real estate prices, UK millennials have dealt with stagnating wages. We have... Oh. Well, that's it. My battery is dead. And Auction Doc. Wait. Winner pick of the week. Auction over Alice. And we're out of here.